Welcome into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. This is, you may not recognize him, but this is Chris Yao. He's been
back
here
in the
before.
saddle.
He's been here before. We're coming to you from the Lee Company Studios here on West 7th in Columbia.
This is a literal throwback. I'm on the show and we're in studio.
Yeah, this is a Throwback Thursday for sure. And it's going to be even more so as we progress. In the second hour, we will be visiting with Chris Lee of Southeastern 14, talking a little SEC baseball, one series in particular this weekend. In the next segment on Coach's Corner, we'll be visiting with reigning Class 4A state softball championship coach Savannah Sanders of the Green Hill Lady Hawks as they try to repeat.
Are we calling her Savannah? Because swagging is just so much cooler.
We were fortunate enough to get Coach Sanders on last year as they were heading toward that championship. And we declared her social media handle at Swaggin' Sanders the best one we've come across. And
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we've come across anything since that would change that.
Certainly not in high school.
In high school,
sports.
yeah. So we're looking forward to speaking with at Swaggin' Sanders here in the next segment. Also going to talk a little NIL because, of course, I'm going to talk a little Braves because
What would we be doing if we didn't talk NIL?
if we
Just
didn't
every
talk
day.
either NIL or transfer portal, do you
I
really
mean,
have a sports talk show?
You really don't at this point.
So, again, going to talk a little Braves because they're doing a little better or did a little better. So, what else are we talking about today? Oh, going to talk a little Southeastern Conference softball tournament to follow up on our conversation yesterday with Marin Angus Combs. Ignore that second O.
It just doesn't exist.
It clearly it doesn't. I started to ask her if she really knows how to spell her last name, but because I made the mistake of pronouncing it Coombs at first, and I was quickly corrected. But it's spelled Coombs. How would you pronounce it?
You pronounce it as it is written.
So, I mean, if you don't want people mispronouncing your name, spell it right.
or misspelling your name in the paper. Spell it right.
Spell it right. Spell it right.
Don't blame me. Your parents misspelled your name, not me.
There we go.
We did. We spelled it correctly.
Yeah. So,
Blame,
but anyway,
blame your mama.
we are going to revisit some of that conversation because, well, we need to. So we will get into that and more. And as the tweet that we have,
And some of our questions, Mo, have been answered in regards to the SEC softball tournament and its schedule.
oh, okay, good. That's good. So yeah, this is nice. What a mess of stories and messy story we'll have for you in this segment. Yeah. So the grab bag should be fun in the final segment of the day. So one thing that we do want to say in all seriousness, our thoughts go out to everyone that was affected by yesterday's weather issues.
Plural. From Clarksville, Springfield,
All the way down, all the way across.
state line.
Yep, from Kentucky to Alabama, and basically from the river to the plateau. So,
And it was from 8 in the morning to 3 in the morning. It was a tough day yesterday.
yeah, and again, our thoughts are with everybody that was affected in any way, whether it was injuries, property loss, loss of life. We're thinking about y'all, and as a tweet that I saw somewhere said, if you're new here, you're getting ready to find out why this is the volunteer state.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, so many people were asking to volunteer. They were like, hey, we can't use you right
now. There will be a time, but not right now.
And when that call goes out, it will be, we've got enough.
Well,
Wait your turn.
I don't know that you can ever have enough, but there's a fine line between enough
Being
and too
in the
many.
way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So for those of you wanting to help, be aware of that as well. So,
Correct.
in light of said weather issues, there's a light schedule yesterday and a pretty light one today, but we do need to give you yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Yesterday, Cornersville blanked Culleoka 17-0. Donaldson Christian was a 7-1 winner over Good Pasture. Major League Baseball action. Yankees 9, Astros 4, Braves shutting out the Sox of the red variety 5-0. And the Durham Bulls, I don't know if they hit the bull or won a stake, but they did win the game 5-3 over the Nashville Sounds.
Today's high school baseball schedule as we know it. These are region games. Upperman plays Lawrence County at 4:30 in Tullahoma. That game can be seen on the Upper Cumberland Reporter on Facebook. That game will be followed by DeKalb County and Tullahoma, by the way, at 7, again, from Grouder Stadium over in Tullahoma. 5 o'clock, Cannon County plays at Loretto in the Region 5 2A tournament. That game will be followed by Forest and Summertown at Loretto at about 7.
Hope that Forest Summertown game don't go as long as the last one I was at. Jeez.
I bet you do.
That was brutal.
Softball action. These are district tournament games here, and I'm not sure what district it is, but Oakland plays at Blackman at 5. The winner plays Siegel at 7. Beach plays Mount Juliet at 5, different district. The winner plays Green Hill and at Swaggin Sanders at 7. And also Cookville plays Stewart's Creek at 5. Boys soccer action today at 6 o'clock. Antioch plays Overton. At 7 o'clock, Lebanon is at Cookville. Also at 7, Franklin County is at Murfreesboro Central, and Blackman is at Siegel. Major League Baseball, the Astros continue their their series at Yankee Stadium against the Yankees. That's a 4 o'clock start. You can see it on the MLB network. And the Sounds continue their series at Durham. That game starts at 5:35 Central Time. And that is your rundown. Top story of the day brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly over at Neely's Mill here in Columbia. Be sure and get through there for their delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register.
Did we ever give them a definitive on the closing time?
We did not. If you didn't,
Did you?
We haven't.
Did you go over there when we talked about it the other
I did not.
Okay, because I
wanted to confirm it.
The sign says 6 p.m., so I guess you can
Thought
get
the sign
dinner
said
there
long-haired.
That's it, signs everywhere. The signs. Yeah,
Need not apply.
Yeah, hippie folks need not apply.
Yeah.
No, so apparently the sign in the commercial, if you pause it at just the right moment, you can see it says 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So if you are looking to take dinner home, you can also do that at Piggly Wiggly.
So there you go. So it's not just lunch.
Not just lunch.
It's also delicious daily deli dinner.
There you go. That's even worse. Dear God. That's going to be terrible.
Anyway, your top story is brought to you by Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check them out. They do a great job keeping you fed and happy. You know who's not happy? Oddly enough, Brian Kelly. You know who else isn't happy?
Spencer Danielson?
Freshman at Boise State.
Well, I guess.
I
mean, how many freshmen at Boise State are getting NIL?
None, I don't guess.
Well, I mean, before even. Yeah, none. Well, okay. So, first of all, I would like to point out what Matt Brown of Extra Points pointed out at Matt Brown EP.
Mm-hmm.
That's not his decision.
I was going to get to that. It may or may not be legal what Spencer Danielson is trying to do at Boise State.
And so let's have this conversation.
Let's take this in order, though.
Okay.
Let's take this in order.
All right.
So there is an article on CBSSports.com by a friend of the show, David Cobb. The headline says, interpreting LSU coach Brian Kelly's declaration that Tigers are, quote, not in the market of buying players. Now, first of all, that's a lie.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
First of all, Brian Kelly said that, and it's a lie. Bless you. The subhead on this says, after failing to add a difference-making defensive tackle in the spring portal window, Kelly said, if you just want to get paid, this is not the place for you. And to a degree, I can see where he's coming from. Far be it from me to be a Brian Kelly apologist, but Brian Kelly is casting a contrarian vision for how LSU will construct its football teams in the NIL era. While acknowledging that NIL, quote, is a part of this, the Tigers' third-year coach told a local radio station, I think WAFB, we're not in the market of buying players. Unfortunately, right now, that's what some guys are looking for. They want to be bought. Instead, they're pitching something other than just cash to potential additions. If you like all the things that we do here in developing our players, bringing you into a championship program, playing in front of the best fan base in America, playing for championships, and having an opportunity for NIL, you should be a Tiger. But if you just want to get paid, this is not the place for you. And in that context,
it is a fantastic.
I'll give him that.
A fantastic.
I'll absolutely give him that. And that should be boilerplate
across
for every coach in the country.
Absolutely. That should be on that should be the prelude of the NIL handbook.
Right.
Like that should be the first thing you read.
Yeah. But also what brought this about was apparently LSU came up short on both Demonic Williams, who has transferred to Oklahoma, and Simeon Barrow, who has transferred to Miami.
Okay. So yes, it's him trying to spin this.
Mm-hmm. Trying to salvage the situation.
He's trying to spin
We didn't want them anyway because all they wanted to do was get paid.
Right. They didn't want to be here.
I call BS.
I mean, he probably wanted them, but also I get it. I mean, he may not be completely lying in the situation because here's the thing. If you've got players who just want to get paid and when they get paid, can you count on them to produce? Maybe that's not the kind of guy you want. And maybe they didn't want him after all. Maybe they'd rather have a guy who's maybe a little bit less talented, but a little bit more motivated. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
How many times have we seen professional football players get paid and then suck? A bunch.
Sure.
How many times have we seen football players in the professional ranks be in their contract year and play outrageous? A bunch. And so therefore, a little bit less talent, a little bit more motivation is probably better than the other way around. So maybe he did. I don't know. I'm just saying that is a completely plausible explanation for this.
It's a completely plausible explanation, but I do believe that Brian Kelly would have taken both Demonic Williams and Simeon Barrow had they decided to come. I don't think he would have said, you know what? I don't think you're our guys.
Yeah, but if you tell them up front, hey, look, we're not just going to give you this money. You're going to earn this money. And that's why they said, well, I'm just going to go somewhere that they're just going to give it to me.
And I don't have to earn it.
And I ain't got to do nothing. And that's very possible. I mean, Miami, we'll see. But no, and I think there's an underlying situation here that going back to the coaches versus cancer breakfast that you and I went to and having the conversation that players are having with coaches is such and such offered me this much money. Who offered you?
Mm-hmm.
Who offered you that money?
And how do I know that?
Well, who cares about how I know it? Who offered you that money?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the school. If it was, that's illegal. It wasn't the coach. If it was, that's illegal. Are you saying the collective said, we're going to give you this much money? That's fine, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
again, that's illegal because it is basing it on them coming to a particular school. You can't offer any collective, the Vol Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever collective Tennessee has. They can't offer a guy, Nico,
Mm-hmm.
they can't offer him $8 million based on if he comes to Tennessee. If they offer him and give him an offer sheet of $8 million and he goes to Stanford, they got to
Mm-hmm.
pay him. That's the whole Florida situation with Jaden Daniels. Or
No,
not
Rashada.
with Rashada.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same situation. And so NIL is just absolutely out of control.
It is out of control. It absolutely
and I
is.
love the fact that at least one or two coaches are trying to put the genie back in the bottle to some degree.
We will develop you. We will get you ready for the next step, as we did with Jaden Daniels, as we did with Malik Neighbors, as we did with Brian Thomas. We developed 3 defensive linemen that all got drafted this year. We'll do that again. But if you're just looking to get paid, you're looking in the wrong place.
And I think that's a perfectly great quote.
It really kind of makes me uncomfortable being on the same page with Brian Kelly.
And yet,
but I don't think he's wrong here.
now, Spencer Danielson saying that, hey, freshmen aren't going to get paid. That's
okay. Now here's the deal. Stop
That's a question.
stop before you say anything else, because isn't that the way NIL was initially pitched? You get on campus and we determine what your name, image, and likeness is worth.
Who determines? You see what I mean?
But isn't that the way it was originally pitched?
I think to some degree, well, NIL was originally pitched in video game form. That was the whole point, was they're going to get paid to be in these video games. That's what's Ed O'Bannon, the whole thing was based on,
Right.
was NCAA basketball and them using his name and or his image and likeness, but not his name.
Yeah.
And so
IL.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I can see how a freshman in some places, probably not somebody going to Boise State, but I can see how a freshman like Nico Iamaleava's name, image, and likeness, a 5-star quarterback
Maybe
worth
a little something.
who has some fame a little bit, does maybe
move the needle,
or command at least some sort of compensation for jersey sales. That's what this should be about. And when the original Tennessee situation came out, that's what they were doing. They were selling T-shirts with these kids' faces and names on them, and then giving them a portion of that.
Right.
And then they started giving them advances.
Yeah, and that's when
it all gets
when it starts spiraling.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where we are now.
And as Syracuse.com's Chris Carlson says in this article that I'm looking at for reference here, the whole point of this whole thing is, as you said, schools can't control who makes the money. I think this is a good way to admit that you are controlling the money in your collective, which you're not yet supposed to be doing as a school and head coach. So Spencer Danielson may be working on the fringe, or he might just be outright cheating. Yeah. So, but again, I see where he's coming from.
Sure.
And in the Mountain West, that's probably going to be the best use of your money.
Yeah.
Because you don't have it like you got it at LSU.
Right.
So
but
it's never a dull moment when it comes to NIL. And we said you can't have a talk show without talking about either NIL or the transfer portal. Again, friend of the show, David Cobb on CBSSports.com. Northwestern lands Mike Wright, veteran SEC quarterback, gives Wildcats boost of versatility on offense. That's former Mississippi State, former Vanderbilt quarterback, Mike Wright.
He is most certainly the most talented football player on that roster right now. That's all I'm going to say about that. There's zero doubt in my mind that he's the most talented football player on Northwestern's roster.
Should immediately compete for the starting job after presumptive starter Brendan Sullivan's departure this spring. Committed to Iowa on Wednesday, did Sullivan. So, top competition at Northwestern may be Ryan Helinski, Jack Lausch, and Aiden Gray. Helinski coming from South Carolina prior to playing at Northwestern last year. So, let's take a break from the Lee Company Studios here on Main Street Sports today. When we return, we will be joined by, again, Class 4A state championship coach, Savannah Swaggin Sanders. So stay tuned when we come back after this break.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In the second hour, we will be throwing it back to last Friday's visit with Sounds outfielder Brewer Hicklin. Really a lot of fun Wade and I had talking to him about his background and what he's doing right now with the Sounds, and something he's doing back in his hometown as well.
It's
So be
always
sure
an
and check
Alabama
that
connection.
out. Yeah. I know you hate missing
I hate
former
that, but
former Blazer two-sport star, well, former Blazer two-sport athlete,
in Huntsville
Brewer
native.
Hickman. Yeah. So, but yeah, in this segment though, we are now joined by Green Hill softball coach Savannah Sanders. Her Lady Hawks will be playing for a District 12 4A championship later this evening. And so, Coach, I didn't realize we were going to be catching you in the middle of getting your mind right for a ball game tonight. But we appreciate you taking some time with us.
Yeah, that's fine. We're out of school today, so we've just been up here at the field working on it, getting it ready for tonight. So it's been a weird day, but it's kind of been fun to not have to go to work and just kind of work up here on the field.
Well, good. We talked to you last year en route to that Class 4A state championship. Talked to you about being a young team, a young program, everything that went with that. Now, on top of all that, because you're still a young program, but now you've got that bullseye on your back of defending state champion. What's this season been like for y'all as you carry that banner? You're not Green Hill, but you're defending 4A state champ Green Hill.
Yeah, I think last year was probably a little bit easier than this year's been. We weren't on very many people's radars last year, and we kind of just got to be the underdog going into every game, and we were riding that wave of still not having high expectations. So this year's been completely different. It's kind of crazy how fast that can change within a year, within a day, really. The state championship ends on Friday, and on Saturday we now have a new title of trying to defend it. So I think our kids have done a great job with the pressure that's come with it. We kind of got off to a slow start. We took some lumps early. We've lost 6 games this year, which isn't much in the grand scheme of things, but it's a lot when you compare it to what we lost last year. So we kind of had to learn what it was like to get back on our feet and play with expectations and know that the pressure that our kids felt wasn't because of necessarily anything that they should have felt. It was because they were putting it on themselves, or they were hearing outside noise that really didn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
And Coach, you've lost those 6 games, but to be fair, you guys haven't always been fully loaded this season either, have you?
No, we've kind of dealt with some adversity and we've dealt with some injuries, but we're lucky to have several arms in the circle that we've been able to overcome it. We have several kids that can play behind the plate and kind of eat up some innings when we need them to be eat up. We haven't had anything season ending, thankfully, or we've had one season ending. We've had a torn ACL the second week. But since that, we haven't really had a season ending injury, and that's something that we're thankful for. We hated to see our center fielder go out with that torn ACL, but I think that something that we've preached here for 4 years is we got to have depth. And I think that we have a lot of kids on our roster. Every game we go to, most people are out of breath by the end of the handshake line after they go through with us. So I think that's something we like. We want it. We want competition, and we don't want just bodies. We have kids that can go in and can do a job. And so that's a huge advantage for us.
Now, is that a double-edged sword, Coach, just from the standpoint that when you've got a lot of people that can play, they want to play?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you have to deal with it both ways. Our varsity team's played 45 games already this year. I think our JV team played 27 or 28 games. So, I mean, we played a lot of games, which was kind of the counter of that. We had a lot of bodies, but we played a lot of JV games. And we know that we lose several this year, but we have to be able to rebound next year. And we're not looking to slow down when the new year comes in next year. We want to stay on that momentum and keep that momentum and ride the wave of what we've done the last 2 years. So I think the only way you can do that is to continue to develop the young kids. And we have some freshmen that have seen varsity innings this year. They've gotten varsity starts. And we still return a lot of our starting lineup next year too. So we're trying to get as many games in, but still trying to practice and work on the things we need to do as well.
Coach, you guys play for a district championship tonight after Beach and Mount Juliet face off, and you'll get the winner of that one. It wasn't easy to get there, though, and it certainly wasn't without drama. Maddie McIntyre lifting you guys. And final score of 14-13 in that semifinal game against Mount Juliet. Hopefully those arms will be a little bit better in the circle tonight, you hope?
Yeah, as a former pitcher, it was a little hard to watch, but I think that the other side of that is, thank goodness we had our bats. So we knew that we didn't come out our best in the circle, and we're a lot better than we showed. But at the end of the day, that's the third time we've seen that lineup, and that's not easy either. And I think that that's why the numbers were so high going into it. I told our broadcast guy, Christian Capozzi, who does a great job, that that game wasn't going to be won in the circle. We knew that going into it. We had to put up one more run than they did. And I think that we were kind of prepared for a game like that a little bit, but we certainly didn't want to necessarily see them come out of the gates the way they did.
Well, yeah, and getting down 10-2. I mean, for anybody else, that lead is almost insurmountable. But your team just has confidence when they step in the box, they can hit anybody anytime.
Yeah, and I think that it's a huge advantage to have the kids that can change it in one swing. But what we kept telling them is we're not out of it yet. We've got to play it to the last out. And right now we're not looking for the home runs. We're looking for the doubles. Can we rally? Can we chalk more than one across and not rely on one swing? And I think that's what they did. It really reminded me a lot of we played Forest earlier in the year. And we'd played, I think that was our 5th game of the day. And so we were in a similar situation with arms in the circle. We were tired a little bit and getting tested. And we got down, I want to say it was 6-0 against Forest. And we had the lights went out on the field actually for 30 minutes and umpires wanted to call it. And I told them, give us a chance. And lights came back on and we scored 9 unanswered runs. So we ended up winning that 9-8. And it really prepared us for a game that we knew we might have later in the postseason, which ended up working out in our favor.
I've seen that happen before, like in person. I've seen
the lights just shut down.
And then the very next at bat, that hitting team just, and I don't know what it is about that, but it always seems to advantage hitting team. I guess pitching would be difficult to do after a long layoff like that. But, that's just the thing about your team is it doesn't matter what they see. Yeah. Your team feels like no matter what, they can win and are going to win. How do you instill that kind of confidence into your team, not just on, offensively, but obviously defensively as well? Because after you give up 13 runs, crap. I mean, at some point you got to go, we got to stop them.
Yeah, I think that, one, it's who they are. It's how they've been raised, and it's their identity. They're not going to give in. They think that they should do well every time they step on the field, and sometimes that's what we were dealing with earlier in the year is you're not going to do great every single time, and how can we respond when things don't go our way, when we have a loss after a long stretch of winning and getting used to not losing? So I think it's really a testament to who our kids are. We train that way. We try to put them in environments where they fail a lot in practice. It's not always fun. They leave here frustrated a lot more times than they leave here not frustrated. And I think that's what helps them keep going when they're in a game and their backs are pinned up against the wall like they were the other day. But I think it's partially training. I think it's taking on a mindset that you're never out of it unless you make yourself be out of it. And I think that our kids really take on that identity, and they're not scared to fail. They're not scared to be imperfect, but they are going to go as hard as they can all the time. And it takes everybody. We know that not every game are we going to have all 9 in our lineup be able to perform the way they need to. And we have a lot of bats in our lineup that they can rely on somebody else. And I think that's what they did in that Mount Juliet game. We talked about it a little bit. Maddie that hit the walk-off home run was 0 for 7 against Mount Juliet in the regular season. So for her to come back and kind of bounce back and get 2 home runs in one game is huge. But to do them in the fashion she did it is even bigger.
That's crazy.
You guys don't shy away from the dramatic, do you?
No. It kind of gives me
keep them there the whole time.
Yeah, it hurts me a little bit. It's fun, but it hurts me. I joke with them. I'm diabetic, and there's a lot of games I have to use a lot more insulin than I'd like to. But
I was gonna say, we're gonna get you some Tums at the end of the year or something.
A couple of years ago, it made me a little bit more sick to my stomach than it does now, and I trust them. I think that they know that they can come back, and I had to see them do it a couple times to really believe that we could keep doing it. But I mean, I never really felt like we were out of that game. Even when it came down to 10-2, I knew we had to stop giving up lopsided numbers. We couldn't give up 5 and 4 and 3 runs an inning. We could give up a solo shot or maybe 2 runs, but we were never really out of it. And I think that it started with mentality, and then their physical performance came through.
Green Hill softball coach Savannah Sanders joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, looking at y'all's schedule, who have you not played this year?
I don't think there's anybody we hadn't played. I am a pretty competitive person. I probably go overboard a little bit on our schedule, and we try to play every good team we can get. We want to play the storied programs. We want to play the teams that are hot. We want to play as many games as we can. And so I've been fortunate to be able to link up with, Shelby at Forest and people at Eagleville and things like that to be able to play teams that are really good. And I think that that's helped us down the road. It's helped us in district play. We've played the best teams in Alabama that we can play. A lot of our losses are from Alabama teams. And then we've played the best teams in Tennessee that we can play. I think one person that's on that we haven't caught up with is Silverdale, who is a lower division, so we won't see them at this point. But they were in the same tournaments as us in Alabama, and they made it further than we did, and they've had a great stretch. But I think other than that, if you look at the top teams in the state, we played them, we competed with them, we've lost to a few, and we beat a couple as well.
Did those games get harder to come by as defending state champion Green Hill?
I think last year we went through a lot of cancellations when we got on a stretch where we won 40 straight, and we went through a lot of people canceling. I think this year it hasn't been as hard because we intentionally scheduled people that we knew weren't going to bail on those games. We went into it with it, and we knew when the year got late, we were going to be playing teams that wanted to play us as well. And I think that we maybe had a little bit more strategy in who we played late in the year, and a lot of people would have probably thought it was crazy to go down to Forest and Chapel Hill and play. They were our last game before the district tournament, and I think that you can see it as 2 ways. You can see it as you go down there and you get tested, and if you come out on top, you've got momentum going into the postseason, or you can be scared of it and not be tested and not know what your team's going to do when they're tested later in the season. So we were strategic about who we scheduled, and I'm thankful for those teams that went and played us, because it's not always going to be us that's going to be hard to get games. Some year it's going to be another team, and we want to go play them even when we're not on top, because that's what's going to make us better in the long run.
Coach, I've been doing this for a long time, and that's something that I've never really understood. Why you wouldn't want to play good people, particularly if you think you're good, because the worst thing is you're going to lose a ball game. But in your case, you lose a ball game in March, you lose a ball game in April. It's like a wrestling coach told me, we either win or we learn. You know, it's a loss, big freaking deal. But you don't want to not know what your team is about right now.
Yeah, we want to be battle tested going into the battle. We don't want to question how we're going to respond to things. And I think that when we went down there in that Gulf Shores tournament, that was not an easy tournament by any means. We played Sparkman twice, who was historically really good. We played Jasper, who had a kid pitching that just won a basketball state championship. She was like 6'4" in the circle. So, I mean, we saw some really good pitching throughout the year. We saw Kaylee Plumley from Gordonsville twice, and I'm not sure that we will see another arm as good as her. But we went out and we want to be playing those teams. We don't want teams to question, well, are they winning because they're not playing anybody? We don't want to leave anything out there on the table. We're winning because of who we are and our kids and the testament they put into it. There's no questions to be asked.
At Swaggin Sanders on Twitter, Savannah Sanders of Green Hill Softball joining us. Coach, before you leave us, tell us 2 or 3 names that we're going to hear between now and spring fling and that state championship at MTSU softball stadium.
Man, I think there's a lot. I think that you have your big names that people hear of often. You have your Emily LeGrand and you have your Avery Stockwell. And those are the names that everybody knows. They're both up for Gatorade Player of the Year last year. They're both up for it right now. So I think that those are prominent names, but I think that what makes us special is it really takes all of them. And I think we have the names that nobody hears about that kind of scrape up the barrel, but for us, they're huge players for us. And I think that you look at our lineup, we have 62 home runs as a team, and I think we have 11 or 12 players that have hit a home run. So, I mean, it's not really one or two. We have great players everywhere we put them, and it takes all 23 of them to do the job, and they know that, they trust that, and they're really bought into being one and not just the individual player.
The Atlanta Braves of high school softball.
There you go. Yeah. And a congratulations to you on your recent personal news.
Yeah, it's been a big year. 2 rings.
You got a couple of rings. Congratulations.
Yeah, 1 year is not a bad year. We're shooting for another, and we'll see how it goes. Whatever happens, happens. But it's been a really special year for me to remember individually. And I told our athletic director the other day, these kids on our team have given me so many memories, and I hope they walk out of here with half of what I have. They've been really special to coach, and at the end of the day, they're great kids. They're not just great ball players. They're really fun to be around, and we're going to miss the ones that leave, and we're going to move on with the ones that are still here and hopefully try to keep that same culture of connected and staying together.
Coach, we appreciate it. Good luck tonight, and as you continue to negotiate the postseason, and again, look forward to seeing you over in Murfreesboro here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you guys for covering us and having me out and letting me talk about our team and how special they are.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you. When we come back here on Main Street Sports today, before we go, we got some hardware. Yeah, we got some hardware we got to give away. So let's get that done real quick. Our custom stone handlers in to win team of the week is the Columbia Central boys soccer team. They only played one game last week, but it was a pretty big one. They defeated Lincoln County, I believe it was, 3-0 in their district semifinals. So if you're only going to win one, that's the one to win. So Columbia Central, the Lions, are our custom stone handlers in to win life team of the week, and our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia athlete of the week. Speaking of those Lions, Fabricio Rodriguez mentioned that they defeated Lincoln County 3-0. I'm sorry, it was 3-1. Well, Fabricio scored all 3 goals.
Yeah, there you go.
As was mentioned to me in a email, that's a hat trick. I know I don't know a whole lot about soccer, but I did know that 3 goals is a hat trick. But yeah, Fabricio Rodriguez had a hat trick in Columbia Central's win over Lincoln County. So that was the quarterfinals of District 9 4A. So
they've got Coffee County today at 4.
Well, they've had Coffee County for the last 3 days.
Yes,
so
but there's been a problem. It's been raining.
It has.
And tornadoes and all the other things that go along with the weather.
I mean, I don't know if they have Coffee County today or not.
Well, they're allegedly they're supposed to play them again.
Supposedly, yeah.
We'll see what happens.
We'll be keeping an eye on the lines. We'll be keeping an eye on Fabricio Rodriguez, our custom stone handlers in to win life team of the week, our Main Street Murray Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia athlete of the week. Congrats to all the lines and especially Fabricio. And now we need to take a break from the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports today. When we come back, we're going to talk a little Braves, a little Major League Baseball, and we'll see what else comes up. Stay with us.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to Nashville Super Speedway.
That's right, guitars and fast cars right here in Music City. This summer, NASCAR is back at the Nashville Super Speedway. Get your tickets now to watch your favorite driver take on the 1.33 miles of concrete chaos. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to lock in your spot June 28th through the 30th for the Ally 400 race weekend.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
May 9th, 1995. And I'm trying to get back up to it, and my computer is not cooperating. Bear with me just a second. Gosh, might be time for another laptop, y'all. Come on, here we go. Chipper Jones hit his first career home run, a solo shot in the top of the ninth inning as the Braves downed the host New York Mets 3-2.
The start of a very long relationship.
It was the beginning of virtually 2 decades of dominance for Jones against the Metropolitans as he hit .309 over 245 games with 265 hits, 49 homers, 159 RBIs, and 168 runs scored, owning the team to the point that he named one of his sons Shea for their stadium.
Okay.
That was this day in Braves history.
Based on this, now obviously I know that I think Chipper probably extended his abilities because of the way he was treated in New York. But if Chipper Jones had been a Met and played 81 games a year at Shea Stadium,
I don't think it was the stadium. I think it was the environment.
It was the environment. So
yeah.
I understand, but I'm just saying.
You know, if you're a
Mets
fan, you certainly have to wonder what if.
What if?
Yeah. but now
they wouldn't have been chanting Larry.
They also had David Wright for a lot of that time, and they felt pretty good about him. So.
I think they would have felt better if he were doing this 81 times a year.
for them
for 15, 20 years.
For them, yeah. Yeah, I don't think David Wright is. I think David Wright is in the Hall of Very Good.
Yeah. And Chipper Jones is
in the
Chipper
Hall of Fame,
Jones.
Yeah.
So, man, God, that was, it's still to this day, maybe the greatest solo performer in an opponent against
one
opponent.
team. Yep.
In the history of sports. I don't know if there's anything that would even come close to rivaling what Chipper Jones did against the Mets.
That's a heck of a question. It really is. Is there anybody else out there that has tormented any one team
to that degree?
To that degree, that's.
It would take some high level research to
more than either of us is inclined to put in, actually.
Or and not even close to the knowledge that it would take.
The Braves did not have Chipper Jones last night, but they did have Marcell Ozuna.
They didn't need him.
Well, they did have Marcell Ozuna. They also had Chris Sale.
And those
Chris Sale making
their powers combined.
Yeah. Chris Sale making his first start against his former team, the Boston Red Sox. Speaking of tormenting.
Yeah, you got to feel a little bad for Red Sox fans because they had to deal with, a not healthy Chris Sale, and they were less than happy with his performance in Boston.
But it kind of goes back to Cat Williams. They shouldn't have been talking stuff. Because in his first start against them, all he does is go 6 shutout innings, scattering 6 hits, walks 1, strikes out 10.
Yeah, that shutout was about 2 inches from not being, though. Jared Kelenic with a rob of Garrett Cooper.
Yes.
Who has
speaking of torment? Yes, yes.
Folks who tormented the team.
Different uniform, same results. Yeah, you were glad to see. If you're a Braves fan, you were glad to see Garrett Cooper leave Miami.
Yeah, you weren't loving to see him come back with Boston, but you'll take it for just 2 games.
Yeah, for 2 games. Yeah, and 2 more in June when we go to Fenway, I think. Yeah. Ozuna hit not 1 but 2 home runs because his first one tied him with about 4 different folks for the major league lead. He now leads the majors by himself, I do believe, with 12
in 2 categories.
Because he also has an MLB leading 38 ribs. Orlando Arcia also hit a home run last night, marking the first back-to-back home runs of the year for Atlanta. So
Jared Kelenic hit one, his first one on Tuesday. And it just feels like it's starting to heat up.
Maybe.
That's all I'm saying.
Maybe 13-4 at home now, which gives the Braves the best home record in baseball. Not the best record. We see you, Philadelphia. We get it. But the best home record.
Yeah. The best, and you if you keep this pace, 106 is the pace. That seems pretty good for a team that everyone seems to be
down on.
So there you go.
Win 106 in a down year. Okay. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. You decided that Alex woke up bored. I missed the first of these. So go ahead and bring us up to date on Braves moves.
I'm pretty sure Alex Anthopoulos was twiddling his thumbs and decided that was
he was
getting
done with
tired. So he decided to call up Ron Washington and see if there was anybody that the Angels had on the block. And they said, not really. We can give you some cash. Well, okay, we'll take some cash. We'll give you Luis Guillorme in a trade. So Guillorme goes to the Angels, which is interesting because during the time Ozzie Albies was out, Guillorme was a pretty solid infielder to fill that time.
He was. And, the funny thing about trading Luis Guillorme, we talked off air about Vaughn Grissom coming back to Truist Park this week. And when he was traded, for Chris Sale, when AA called him to let him know about the trade and that they were getting a pitcher, he's like, Alex, I can pitch. Well,
whatever you need.
Guillorme made his Braves debut as a pitcher in that 16-4 shellacking by the Mets that shall not be spoken of again. But I was unaware of that trade until you mentioned it prior to the show, and it's kind of mind-boggling. So then
they had a spot and they needed to
the
fill.
other shoe to fall, because when I'm like, this guy's not coming to Atlanta, right? Well, yeah, he is, because they traded Guillorme. So
now the Braves decided to go find a guy they were real familiar with from the previous two nights, and Zach Short.
Did he play?
No, but he was clearly in the building. And my question about Zach Short is, did they tell him before or after he got to Boston? Like, did he go home with the team intending to just go home and have a day off and come back to the ballpark the next day? Or
come back to Fenway the next day? Yeah.
Did they say, hey, Zach, listen, when you get home, go ahead and pack your stuff. You're coming right back.
No.
I want to know how this went down.
Or did he even leave?
Yeah, maybe his wife packed his stuff, and
who knows?
I don't know if he's married, but
yeah. But yeah, we have questions.
I have questions here, and I really am very concerned about this. And again, another former Met, by the way. So I mean,
as they get ready to go to Citi Field,
well, they were going to take one with them no matter what,
one way or the other. Yeah. Well, I think the Mets would rather see Zach Short than Chipper Jones.
There's no question there. It said 20 hours ago he was removed from the 40-man roster. So it says they DFA'd him on Wednesday.
Yesterday.
So why did we trade for him if he was DFA'd? I mean, we didn't send anything for him. We just sent him cash.
Right. But
that's interesting.
I guess you had to trade for him, or else he would have become if you DFA somebody, that you got 10 days to either trade them,
right,
or they become a free agent.
Right.
So I guess they got cash for him. But you have to DFA him to get him off the 40-man.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yankees 9, Houston 4. They play again at 4 o'clock or 4:05 Central Time. Ronel Blanco, 3-0 with a 2.09 ERA, takes the mound for the visiting Astros against Marcus Stroman, 2-1 with a 3.41. So
you look at this matchup and don't realize that these two teams have struggled early, because when these guys pitch, they look pretty good.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of struggling, the Sounds gave up a grand slam in the 4th inning yesterday.
Did it hit the ball? That's all we need to know.
I don't know. But, I mean, other than that, they were right in that ball game. But that was the difference in a 5-3 loss over at Durham. And finally, Ryan Weathers turns in a quality start at Chavez Ravine. 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 5 hits allowed, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Takes the loss 3-1 against the Dodgers. I mean,
it's 2 in a row. These lost 3-1.
Hard luck. Thy name is Ryan Weathers.
Yeah, I didn't lose.
Y'all lost. You got to score more than 1. I don't know. I don't even know who threw for the Dodgers, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I
think it was. Is it Yamamoto?
No, that was the night before.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because that's right. Because the MLB.
Yes, we discussed that.
Okay.
We discussed that.
I forgot about that.
No hitter alert for all of 1 pitch. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Let's see how that goes, Greg.
Oh,
who did pitch for the Dodgers?
Oh, no. That was great.
Gavin Stone.
Who?
3-1 Gavin Stone. That's who. Scattered 6 hits over 7 innings, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts.
Has he pitched 4 times against the Marlins?
Man. Yeah.
Anyway.
Tough outing for Ryan. But he's 2-4, but he's pitching well.
Yeah. Okay. This is one of those times where you can't look at wins and losses. You just got to look at the
Clearly, you
numbers.
cannot. Yeah. So, our number one of Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is in the books. When we return to the Lee Company studios, it's Throwback Thursday with our segment with Nashville Sounds outfielder Brewer Hicklin from last week. Guy's got a pretty fascinating story, and I'm glad that we were able to get it out, and glad that we're able to get it out again. So be sure and come back after this break for that.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
We are now set to visit with Nashville Sounds outfielder Brewer Hicklin.
What's up, guys?
How are you doing, man?
Doing well. Just a little random pop-up shower got me on the way to the press box, but we're all good, man.
Gotta love that. Hey, appreciate you taking some time with us. Know you got a game to get ready for. Y'all got your fourth game of the series tonight against Norfolk, 6:35 first pitch there, trying to pick up a win after dropping the first three games in this series. Obviously that's a tough team over there with all the prospects that they got coming through, but you guys are pretty good as well. What's been the overriding theme in these first three games against them?
Yeah, I mean, they've got some good players. As you know, they're kind of decked out with prospects. Jackson Holiday coming back from the big leagues. I know they were excited to have him back in the lineup. But this is the first time I've played an Orioles organizational team in quite some time. But they have, they got a deep lineup, and they're gonna swing the bat, and they've got a couple good starters. But we've hung in there for most of the games, just hadn't pulled through quite at the end. But as you know, in baseball, man, it's a long season, and you just got to kind of try to move on from yesterday and start today with a fresh mindset, and hopefully get out there and we'll scratch one off today.
Well, I'll tell you, whatever happens with you guys, even in this thing up to end it, you're probably going to be right in the middle of it, hitting .316 for the Sounds through 27 games. 3 home runs, 14 ribs, and 13 steals, ranking at or near the top of this team in most every offensive category. And it sounds like you were missed when you were down a couple of weeks ago. So what's been the key for you in this start?
Yeah, this year's been a little bit different than years past. It seems like every year I kind of have a tendency to be a slow starter. So it is a little bit of a breath of fresh air, being kind of more at the top of the categories in the beginning of the season. But you know how it is, man. It's a long season. It's ups and downs. And so hopefully, I can continue to ride this wave while I'm feeling good. And I think, as you know, with baseball, it's a game of failure. And so just looking at those failures as an opportunity to learn and lessons. And that's something that as I've matured and kind of grown in my, baseball career, I really try to digest, why did I fail? What can I do next time to not have that same failure? And that's something that's helped me grow, something that helps me kind of develop myself as an athlete, but also as a baseball player. And each day I'm learning new things, and that's the name of the game. I mean, I'm a little bit of an older guy now, 28, which is kind of hard to say that I'm old, right? But in this game, it really is. And that's that's just the nature of it. And I accept that. But at the same time, with age comes wisdom, and I'm trying to use that wisdom to my advantage and the experiences that I've had in years past to help, further propel me to the, heights that I want to eventually reach.
Brewer, you mentioned, go ahead, Mo.
I was just going to say 13 steals and 15 tries. I mean, is you kind of consider yourself a power speed kind of guy? Where does base stealing rank in your repertoire?
I'll be honest with you, man. I got drafted. I wouldn't even say as a baseball player. I got drafted as an athlete, playing 2 sports in college. Just kind of was just kind of the football guy playing baseball. And so, I'm really just the last, year or two, I've really started to learn, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I do well? And so I'm really just trying to focus on my strengths, and it happens to be speed. And I know that's funny. I was actually talking to one of our analytic guys, and you know how baseball is now, right? Analytics. And they just said it's actually pretty amazing that I've been able to maintain and at even some level increase my speed through the last couple of years. Typically, they see a decline as soon as you hit 25, and so that's something that I put a lot of pride in. It doesn't matter how good or bad you're feeling at the plate, speed doesn't slump, and so I just try to go out there and put pressure on the defense and do the best that I can to wreak havoc on the base paths.
Yeah, Brewer, and I was going to ask you, going back to your college career, when you arrive at UAB as a wide receiver for the football team, I guess my immediate question is, well, first things first, what was it like going through that process, being on a team and kind of seeing your football career maybe potentially just laid out right before you, and then with the way that program went away for a number of years, kind of dissolved right in front of you? How do you walk us through that range of emotions there?
Yeah, I mean, I think as I was going to college, kind of it's a long story and how it all kind of transpired and everything. But, as I look back and lessons that I've learned, I was so grateful for the impact that football had on my baseball career. I didn't really know that, Major League Baseball was going to be in my future when I was in college. At the time, I was, like I said, I was just an athlete playing, and I just wanted to be a college athlete and enjoy that. And I was fortunate enough to be quite busy with two sports, kept me out of trouble and everything. And but yeah, to me, man, football was just such an asset. I mean, I put on so much weight, ton of speed. I've always been fast, but just really honed in on that. Just trying to develop my skills, explosiveness, and I really enjoyed it. It was unfortunate because, like you said, with the football team getting cut, I really only was there, a year and a half, like practicing, getting ready, and everything, and then I got drafted, so I didn't really get the opportunity to play the games. But everything happens for a reason, and I'm extremely grateful for my time and still, keep in contact with some of those guys. And it is a lot of fun to just watch how the programs continue to develop.
We just came off the NFL draft, Brewer. What was your comp if you had to compare yourself? What kind of receiver? Who do you compare to that's out there in the pros right now in the NFL?
Man, that's a tough question. So it's funny. Everybody always thought I was a slot receiver. I wasn't shifty enough to be a slot guy. So I was they were like, okay, you could be kind of like an Edelman, but he was just a lot more shifty than me. So, I mean, I basically was the guy. I was a quarterback actually my whole life until I got to college. And so not only learning how to not be involved in every play was an adjustment, but also learning to sprint down the field 40 yards every play and then go back and do it again. That was quite different. So, I started off, I really didn't know what I was going to be doing in college. I didn't think quarterback was probably going to work out because trying to balance those with two sports is kind of difficult. So they moved me to receiver, and I just kind of went out there, and I was just an athlete figuring it out, and it seemed like they kind of fell in love with me being like the deep threat guy. I was sub 4.5 40 running. And so I was trying to scoot and burn the guys. And I went up against Darius Williams, who just signed another big deal in the NFL. And every day we competed, and it was fun, man. We loved it.
And then you make inroads with the baseball program, obviously. At what point did you start to think, okay, this could become my next step, and I could really make a career out of this?
I'll tell you what, man, I didn't even realize it until it happened.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so first year I got hurt, tore my rotator cuff, didn't play. Second year come around, and then had a pretty good freshman campaign. I think I was all conference team, something like that, award, I can't remember. But second year comes around, and just kind of, started continue to play well. I had people reaching out wanting to represent me, and I'm thinking what do you want to represent me for? I still got 3 more years left of school. Got hurt halfway through the year, didn't miss any games, but had a little fracture in my wrist from running into the wall. So kind of battled that. Had a decent year. I wouldn't say it was anything compared to the college numbers now. It's funny, we were having the conversation in the locker room now. It's like, well, what would you hit if you went back to college? And I'm like, dude, some of these guys, the numbers they're putting up are just ridiculous. Back in my day, you hit 10 home runs, you're like top of the class. Now 10, it's like, you're all right. So, it wasn't really until end of the season, my agent's like, hey, you got a really big opportunity. Couple teams, I did a couple workouts with some teams. They were really hot on me and saw the kind of what I could be. At the time I wasn't there. And, fortunately Lonnie Goldberg with the Kansas City Royals, he took a chance on me and, paid me well and gave me an opportunity. And I feel like, now as he looks at me, he says that was glad he took that opportunity to invest in me, and it worked out for both of us.
Nashville Sounds outfielder Brewer Hicklin joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. And you mentioned you were drafted by the Royals, but I mean, how could you be in any other organization, Brewer, than the Milwaukee Brewers organization?
I'm telling you, man, when I spent my 6 year or 5.5 with the Royals, got traded to the Phillies last year, halfway through the year, became a free agent. And, I didn't really know what to expect. And here my agent calls me, says, we've got a list of, 8-10 teams that, want to sign you. And let's try to hash this out and narrow it down. And the Brewers were one of the first that really reached out, and they showed a lot of interest. And, we did the whole evaluation as anybody would do when you're making a career choice, and prayed about it and felt good about it. Being in Nashville, I'm originally from Huntsville, Alabama, so I knew worst case coming to Nashville wasn't a bad place to be. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at the field right now, just absolutely beautiful with the skyline, and front office is great and staff is great. So yeah, just taking it day by day. Hopefully we'll get to kind of give the Milwaukee team a little bit of a PR boost with some Brewer playing for the Brewers. We'll try to speak that into existence, but I'm a guy that really just tries to focus on today and to be where my feet are and don't try to look too far ahead. I mean, we're all in the position that we're supposed to be in, and just looking to impact other people and impact my teammates the best that I can. And I'll just kind of let the baseball take care of itself with my work ethic and things that I've done to try to put myself in a good chance for success.
Being from Huntsville, like you said, what's it been like being here in Nashville in terms of, family being able to come see you and hang out and that kind of thing?
Just to give you a little, I guess, some context, I've got, I want to say 16 people coming tonight. So that's a pretty much every standard Friday, Saturday, and the weekend. Like my dad came up on Wednesday for just the night. My wife can kind of come back and forth during the season when we're on the road. So it's nothing short of a blessing, man. I really feel grateful to be here, not only because of the convenience, but also because of the staff and just the city itself. We every Monday's our off day. We try to find somewhere new to eat, and so just a lot of good places to go. And have a new kid, so I got a 7-month-old, so we stay pretty busy with him, and I have nothing to complain about. Just super grateful for where I am in life, and so many people have helped pave the way before me and help encourage me along the way and lift me up. And I wouldn't be here today without them.
Wade, you good?
I was just going to say, man, Brewer, I love your outlook and your disposition, man, because things could have really gotten sideways there in terms of thinking you had one career path maybe mapped out, and then things just totally kind of pivoted on you. So that is very cool. And obviously, I feel like the big league club, they're sitting on a gold mine in terms of jersey sales, if nothing else.
I know it.
There's probably fans that have made Brewers jerseys and they just wanted to save a couple extra bucks and they left the S off on purpose. So you may be entitled even to some royalties or back pay at that point, right?
It's pretty funny, man. So if you guys go look on my Instagram, there's a photo from Photo Day, and I'll tell you guys, it was totally on accident, but I tell some people it was on purpose. So the way that the Brewers jersey is, the S was kind of, I think it was my left armpit, and it was tucked away, so it just said
Brewer.
Yeah, and so everybody was getting a good laugh at that. But yeah, man, baseball, it's such a unique game. You guys know the best succeed 3 out of 10 times, and for me, man, it's the best game to play to teach you about life. I mean, we're going to get knocked down. We're going to have opportunities to persevere, and we're going to have the easy route or the hard route. And, in this game, you got to choose the hard route, and you just got to get your nose down, and you got to grind. And, anything worth having, it's going to come at a cost. And so that cost for me it's been high. It's been time away from my family. My body definitely has doesn't recover like it used to, but at the same time, it's a goal and a journey that I wouldn't take for anything. And I'm so thankful for, all the relationships that I built along the way, and hopefully continue to build as I propel forward in my career in the future.
Brewer, how has football informed your baseball career?
That's kind of my mindset. I think when I look at the grind of it, I have this in the way that I approach all my off-season training, man. I really am just, I don't really know another way to put it but than just a grinder, and like just kind of underlooked. I mean, I was a walk-on in college, underlooked for quite some time. And there's been times where, I was a prospect status and I got up and then people start sleeping on you. So I really just have this obsession with reaching my ceiling. It's not necessarily a specific result that I want. I really just have fallen in love with the process of getting to the result. And so I just try to control the controllables, control what I can control. So for instance, in my baseball game, I can control, being on time, swinging out a good pitch and hitting the ball hard. And if I've done those 3 things in that at-bat, then that at-bat was a success regardless of the result. And so I think a lot of people get so consumed with the result in life that they forget about the journey to get to the result. And so I've just become obsessed with that journey. And, you know, when you become obsessed with that journey, you also get to be more present and you get to be more available and you get to have, you know, those conversations with teammates and stuff. And you're not just so focused on what's ahead, but focused on what's right in front of you. So that's kind of my mindset in life and also in my career, and something that I try to encourage a lot of people that I talk to just, you know, put at the forefront of their minds. It's just like, hey, we all have somewhere we're going to go, but we've also got to take the steps to get there. And so, yeah, that's my mindset in life.
Brewer, it sounds like you've read Atomic Habits by James Clear. Have you read that a couple times?
I've read that, and John Gordon and Craig Groeschel. And yeah, I'm obsessed with just trying to, you know, like you said, like, man, it's all about self-development, growth, and just becoming better today than you were yesterday, whether it's 1% or 10%. And, you know, it's hard because a lot of people in life get stuck, you know, where they are and they get content, but there's always more out there. And it's not that you can't ever be satisfied, but it's just, there's always more areas for you to grow. And, you know, every time you step out of your comfort zone, it's a little bit scary, but that's when you grow the most. And so I just always challenge people, man, like if you're thinking about something, if you're dreaming about something, man, just go do it and figure out the rest later. Because if you're so passionate about something that you're going to do everything at all costs to get to that goal. And, you know, my faith's the most important thing in my life. So that's something that I just continue to pray about and ask God to open the doors that need to be opened, and trust him in that. And so far, he hadn't let me down. I mean, I've been so fortunate and blessed. If I didn't, you know, if he didn't give me anything for the rest of my life, at least he gave me freedom, and he died on the cross for me. So I really can't complain about much. I'm very fortunate to have that in my life as the foundational piece of everything that I do.
Nashville Sounds outfielder Brewer Hicklin joining us here on Main Street Sports today. The Sounds finish up their series at First Horizon Park against Norfolk this weekend. 6:35 tonight. There will be fireworks. 6:35 tomorrow night, 2:05 on Sunday before they head over to Durham for 6 games starting on Tuesday. Brewer, man, really appreciate your time, appreciate your story. Wish you the best the rest of the way this year and beyond, and maybe catching up with you again soon.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me. And if anybody out there wants to help support, I got a Homers for Hope campaign that I'm putting on this year. It's for every home run, I'm donating $100 to the Bullpen Foundation, which is a foundation back in Huntsville that helps inner city youth kids. So we're up to, I think, almost $600 per home run. So hopefully we'll just keep getting, you know, $5-10 here and there, and we'll get up to $1,000 per home run, and we'll make a big difference with that. But if anybody's interested in supporting that cause, it's a great cause.
How do they do that, Brewer?
Yeah, so if they just go to my website, brewerhicklin.com/homers, all the information's there, and they can kind of basically make the pledge to donate, you know, $5 per home run, $10 per home run, whatever they're comfortable doing. At the end of the year, you know, they'll get, I guess, I don't want to say a bill, but an opportunity to make that payment to the foundation that I've chosen back in Huntsville and become really involved with, to see kind of how they've been able to transform some of those youth parks that get neglected in town and give these kids opportunities to have the resources they need to propel them in the future, so that they can have sports as an avenue to hopefully eventually get an education or whatever it is they need.
Brewer, that's awesome that you're doing that. Homers for Hope, man, that's fantastic. And
run it up, brother.
Glad you mentioned it. Absolutely. Hey, yeah, run it up. Appreciate you. And again, good luck. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Y'all come check us out soon, man. Thanks. Anytime you guys want me on, all right?
Thanks, man.
The wild horses are coming to Franklin. The Mustang Heritage Spectacular. 4 days of celebrity freestyle, liberty training, trick riding, and extreme Mustang makeover. Plus the shopping. Over 100 vendor spaces with clothing, food, home goods, and things you can't find anywhere else. All that and celebrity signings at a music stage too. June 20th through 23rd at Williamson County Ag Expo Park. Don't miss a moment with a weekend pass. MustangHeritageFoundation.org for tickets.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to Nashville Super
That's right, guitars and fast cars right here in Music City. This summer, NASCAR is back at the Nashville Superspeedway. Get your tickets now to watch your favorite driver take on the 1.33 miles of concrete chaos. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to lock in your spot June 28th through the 30th for the Ally 400 race weekend.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Chris Yao. And as we mentioned earlier this week, come on Main Street Sports Today, good things happen. I believe Brewer Hicklin has hit 3 home runs since Friday.
Yeah, hey, look, Brewer has been absolutely crushing the ball since he's been on
this show. So maybe we won't have as much trouble getting guys going forward.
There you go.
We will have Jeff Helm tomorrow from Durham, though, at 2:20. So
which is good.
Yeah, be sure and check in for that. Right now, we have from Southeastern 14 for another, 6 weeks before it becomes Southeastern 16. When are y'all switching over, Chris?
Sometime this summer. I think we just we should name it Southeastern 16-ish. How about that? Just in case.
There we go.
There you go.
Chris Lee joining us here on Main Street Sports Today. Chris, big series over at the Hawk this weekend, right?
Yeah, huge series. I mean, talk about going back. If you'd said 5 years ago, Tennessee and Vandy are going to meet in baseball, one team's unranked, one team's number one, that would have been surprising. I think the who of that would be.
Yeah. And we had Joe Rexroad of The Athletic on earlier this week, I guess on Monday, actually, right after UT had pretty well become the consensus number one in the country, and asked because certainly Tony V isn't happy about being number one for obvious reasons. But does this have the ability to be an ambush? Can Vanderbilt get up on its hind legs And I don't even know if it would be a surprise if they took this series, Chris. Would it?
God help you trying to figure it out after watching this team this year. I mean, the road games have been brutal, although they did win a series at LSU, which I think is I think it's a better series win than people realize. I think people look at LSU's conference record and not the talent and the way they're playing. But they played two teams like Tennessee, just gorilla ball teams in A&M and in Georgia, and just got destroyed. Now, those were on the road. This is at Hawkins Field. The closest team that they have played there in terms of style was Florida. Florida hits a lot of home runs, but it's not the same comparison. Florida's pitching is not as good as Tennessee's, and Florida's not as good at offense as Tennessee is either. But, you know, I was asked this on Tony Basilio's show today, and I think I'd put it like this. When you've got, you know, the pitching that they've got at the top, Carter Holton and Bryce Cunningham, guys who both gone complete games or close to it. Cunningham threw a complete game shutout against a really good Mississippi State team 2 weeks ago. I think anything is possible, but it's been so hit and miss with those guys. And, you know, again, a lot of that's been on the road, right? The ambushes have come on the road, and it's not in Nashville. This one is in Nashville, which is more of a pitcher's park. I guess that's a long way, a lot of words for me to outline the parameters, and I apologize for that. But I really do think, I mean, look, on paper it's a mismatch, right? If you just throw out venue and starting pitching, but you can't really do that because starting pitching is your most important component of the game, and it's been hard to win in anybody's park and for anybody. I think Florida went to Missouri and got swept. So all that to say, there's just a lot of – I would think that Tennessee is a clear favorite in the series, and it will have people in the stands too, which is not going to hurt. But there are some factors that if Vanderbilt takes this series, you can probably point to and say, well, this was why.
Well, I mean, even in this Tony V era at Tennessee, most of the time Vanderbilt was probably the favorite in this regular season series, and Tennessee has been very successful against Vanderbilt. So, you know, is the script flipped here? Is Tennessee going to feel some pressure coming into this series? I mean, they are still, I guess, technically not the number one seed in the SEC tournament. So, you know, they're playing for that. They feel like that this is a series they should win. How much pressure is on Tennessee and how much is on Vanderbilt?
Well, I think if it were me setting the favorite the last 2 years, I would have said it at Tennessee both times. I mean, the 22 team looked like it was headed towards being one of the all-time greats and was really getting it rolling at the time. And of course came in and swept the series. And then last year, I know I was on some talk shows in Knoxville, and people kind of thought that, okay, all hope is lost. Our team's not any good. We might not even make the postseason. And I said, hey, look, you got some pitching, and pitching always comes in handy. And that one wound up being lopsided. Yeah, I mean, if you go back to what was it, 2021, that would have been the last time Vandy won the series. That was in Knoxville. That was a Jack Leiter team. That was a little bit different time where Vandy's top end pitching was just flat out elite. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Tennessee being a favorite in my mind is not a new thing, you know, if you look at it through the lens of the last couple of years.
Chris, you have followed Vanderbilt baseball as closely as anyone probably for the last 20 years or more. What has happened with this program, with this team that we are discussing it this way?
Well, do we have 5 hours or do we have 5 minutes? I think I know the answer to that.
Somewhere in between.
It's complicated. I think it's probably 8 or 9 things. I would start here just in broad points. I think everything in the game is antithetical to how he wants to build rosters. They've always won on pitching and defense. You can't pitch to anybody right now in this league. I mean, mishit balls are leaving the yard. That's number one. So the way he wanted to win has been just taken away. Should he have adjusted to that more than he did? Yeah, I think he should have. Part of adjusting that is getting guys in the portal. I think they have been more of a player for guys in the portal than people know. I mean, I think they finished second to Braden Montgomery, or for Braden Montgomery and for Chase Burns. With Montgomery, his girlfriend went to Texas A&M. I think they got outbid there, and that's where he was slow to react. He being Tim Corbin. I think that they wanted to do NIL the way that Nick Saban did, where it's kind of like everybody gets a flat fee, that kind of thing. And, we don't have a divided locker room over this guy's getting this much and that guy's getting that much. Well, that's not reality. So I think those are big things. Chase Burns, they couldn't get him in school because the major wouldn't transfer in. Guys don't want to lose credits. He went somewhere where he didn't have to. There were other kids on other SEC rosters that they were in the mix for. I think they got outbid. And that's where they should have probably realized, hey, we know in our head this is not the way we want the world to work, but this is the way that the world is working. I think the injuries have really hurt them. They've probably had 10 guys out for significant portions of the year that if you put together a 28-man weekend roster, I think you put each of those guys on. So it wasn't like they're getting a third-string third baseman hurt. I think Andrew Dukanich was their most talented pitcher on the staff. He threw 6 innings, got hurt. He's done for the year. Won't pitch next year. Chris Maldonado, starting first baseman. Maybe might have led them in home runs. Hadn't seen him since week 2. He's done for the year. I think it's not just getting a bunch of guys hurt who were parts, but it's getting some of their really key guys hurt. That's a lot of stuff, but all those things were big factors.
Absolutely. And yet 33-16, 11-13 in SEC play. So is this a blip or is this a trend?
I think if he's back next year, and I'm not trying to start some rumor he's retiring or anything, but by implication, if Tim Corbin is coaching Vanderbilt baseball next year, I think they've learned some things in hindsight. I think they got a slow start on NIL. I don't think Tim's going to come back and try to field some sort of a, middle of the road team where maybe if we get lucky, we make a regional. I think if Tim's in it, he's going to want to get a third national title. So I would think that if he is back next year, and I have no reason to think he's not. In fact, I know that he at least wants to play a year in that stadium when it's renovated. That's a couple years away. I don't think, I guess this is a better way. I don't think Tim Corbin's coming back next year to coach Vanderbilt if he thinks he can't compete at a top level like they've done. And I don't think Tim Corbin can do that without getting a little bit more adapted to the times, which includes recruiting bigger, more physical guys who can drive the ball out of the yard and being more aggressive in the portal and maybe doing some things that are not how you wanted to build it, but need to be done to build a winner.
All right. Again, the Commodores 33-16, 11-13 in SEC play, hosting number 1 Tennessee 40-9, 17-7. 6 o'clock tomorrow night at Hawkins Field. You can see it on SEC Network Plus. 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon on the SEC Network. 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon on ESPN2. Chris Lee of Southeastern 14 joining us here on Main Street Sports today. It's still UT Vanderbilt, right? So, I mean, it still means something, even if Vanderbilt is a little down or way down, depending on who you listen to. It's still a meaningful series.
I think it's the most meaningful one because let's face it, in football, other than little patches where Tennessee's been really bad and Vanderbilt was better than usual, it has not been a competitive rivalry. So that's number one. Number two, basketball. It's been so long since Vanderbilt's good. Tennessee has been at an all-time high under Rick Barnes the last half dozen years, and I think that's about to change. I think Mark Byington's going to make Vanderbilt competitive really quickly in a sport where it's got a lot of pride, but that's not been there for a while. You get an occasional upset once every 10 games, but that's about it. That's not much to build a rivalry. This is the crown jewel of Vanderbilt's athletic program. The one thing that everybody said can't not get bad's not the word, but can't struggle, or then everybody panics. Well, they're struggling and everybody's panicking. And now the one team that Vanderbilt fans hate the most is the one that's number one in the country and just owned them the last 2 or 3 years. That's how you make a rivalry. And I think it is maybe the hottest rivalry right now because Tennessee fans suddenly care. They didn't 5 years ago, but they care a lot now. I think that makes for a rivalry. I think it's the biggest one of the three sports right now. Basketball, I think, is going to get back there, but in the here and now, this is it.
Vanderbilt 26-6 at Hawkins Field this season, hitting .302, posting a 3.49 ERA and averaging 7.5 runs a game. I mean, if they do that for 3 games, Chris, you feel pretty good.
Yeah, but let's give some context here, and I'll look this up. Their home series so far have been Florida Atlantic, Gonzaga, Illinois State, Auburn, Missouri, Florida, Mississippi State. Now Mississippi State can pitch, but those other teams are not, top of the country pitching staffs. Now, this is also not vintage Tennessee Chase Burns, Chase Dolander, Drew Beam, although Beam's still around. So I think, some of the home road splits are just because they played their tougher matchups on the road and their easier ones at home. That's had something to do with it. But you also have had this weird dynamic where it's hard to win in anybody's park. And I don't understand the differences to the extent we've seen them this year. So, I mean, yeah, if they can get 7 runs a game, I would think they've got a shot. Would I predict them to do that? Probably not.
This is one of the most, I guess, looked forward to, most anticipated series of the baseball season. And has it lost any luster, or is it still going to be a big deal for both of these clubs? Who is it bigger for?
I think it depends on what the what is. I think for Tennessee right now, they're riding high. They would love nothing to pound Vanderbilt through the turf, and very, perhaps deal one of 2 death blows, the next one of which could come at Kentucky next week into Vanderbilt's NCAA tournament. Vanderbilt's the team with the longest standing NCAA tournament streak of anybody in the country, and that's a big deal. And I think for Vanderbilt, that's what makes it. I think for Vanderbilt, it's probably a bigger series. It is about beating Tennessee, which is always a big thing, but it's also about survival. And they've got to at least get one. I mean, you could say that the league is tough enough that if they get one this weekend and they get one next weekend, they might can get in the NCAA tournament at 13-17 in the SEC, because they lost one midweek game, that was Dayton, and they picked up some good wins over Indiana State and Louisville. But you don't get at least one this weekend. You got to win maybe 2 out of 3 at Kentucky, or at least get one there at a place where not a lot of people are winning. But on the other hand, you take 2 out of 3 from Tennessee. All of a sudden, all the gloom and doom from last weekend where they got embarrassed, everybody's going to kind of forget that for a little bit. So I think it's probably, look, if Tennessee loses the series, right, it hurts their chances of winning a title. I get that. It hurts them in postseason seeding. I get that. Probably doesn't knock them out of a national seed. Tennessee does not have a whole lot to lose. Now, maybe a sweep changes things if Vanderbilt could even do that, which I'm pretty skeptical it can. But it feels to me like Vanderbilt's got a lot more to lose, and you get swept again. That's 3 years in a row. You got embarrassed by your arch rival. So it feels to me like there's number one. Okay, great. That's an aesthetic that nobody will remember a couple of years from now. The bigger implications are the important ones, and I think Vandy's got more at stake.
That's why we bring him in. Chris Lee of Southeastern 14 joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. As always, Chris, we appreciate your insight and have fun up there in the press box this weekend.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on, and stay safe.
Oh, absolutely. Appreciate it. When we come back here on Main Street Sports today, it's a grab bag. And there was something that Chris and I discussed off air that I thought was going to be in the grab bag that will not be.
Okay.
And we will talk more about that during this break here in the Lee Company studios. Come back with us. I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros. Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No. No.
Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's
the
bottom line.
be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football, there's a baseball. Maybe it's not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
It's the final segment of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, and speaking of throwbacks, this is Chris Yao.
We're here in the Lee
with
Company.
us here, and it's the grab bag. And I am
a lot of things in the bag to grab.
There are plenty of things in the bag to grab. At least one of which is off limits for another hour.
Since we were just talking about SEC baseball, let's just get the SEC softball tournament will resume down at
Jane B.
Moore Field in Auburn,
the loveliest village on the plains,
at 5:00.
5:00 will be the first game.
Be LSU and Tennessee, followed by Missouri and Arkansas at 7:30. Tomorrow morning at 9:00, you'll catch Georgia and Florida, and then noon 30 is South Carolina and Texas A&M, and that would be 11th seeded South Carolina.
That would be 11th seeded South Carolina. Day one really turned this tournament on its ear. Not one, but two 14-inning ball games as Auburn. I'm sorry. LSU beat Alabama 3-2 in 14. That was 9-seed LSU, 8-seed Alabama. Is that right? Or flip it. 8-seed LSU defeating 9-seed Alabama. And then in the other extra inning game, number 7-seed Georgia finally prevailed over number 10-seeded host Auburn, 6-5 in 14. 3 home runs in the 14th inning.
Yeah, it's funny. You expect 8, 9, 7, 10 to be the closest games of the first round, and they delivered.
Yeah.
In every way.
There you go. Yeah. Much to the chagrin of the ESPN broadcast crew, I'm sure, because South Carolina and Mississippi State were still playing at midnight when I went to bed. And they were supposed to be back at 10 this morning.
Thank goodness that didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, again, LSU and Tennessee will play at 5, and they're followed by who again?
Missouri, Arkansas.
Missouri, Arkansas. We were fortunate enough to get Marin Angus Combs.
Combs.
Coombs. Combs.
Hardo.
On yesterday to talk a little SEC tournament. And we talked about how it feels like it's Tennessee, Florida in Saturday's championship game. We managed to ask Marin, national college softball writer and expert, if it wasn't Tennessee and Florida, who might it be? As you've said, it really feels like Tennessee, Florida in Saturday's championship game. Who keeps that from happening?
Mississippi State. That would be my dark horse in this tournament. I think they got off to a really hot start and then had a very long cold streak and have started to heat back up. Their pitching is incredible. They have the power at the plate. They've got they have the speed on the bases. They have all of the makings of a team who could spoil somebody's tournament. And if they're able to string it all together, then I think we could see the Bulldogs make a run.
They were not, in fact, able to string it all together. They trailed 8-1 and were in danger of getting run ruled. They finally lost 8-4. And I wouldn't necessarily expose Marin like this under normal circumstances, but yesterday she came on with a little attitude. The Dodger fan,
she came out
in her. Swinging, so. She came in and again, another Cat Williams reference. Shouldn't have been. Yeah.
Shouldn't have been talking that stuff.
Yeah. So. But no, we love Marin, even though she is a Dodger fan, and really appreciated her taking some time with her yesterday. Yeah, most of the time. Except when she wants to talk trash about her Dodgers. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the SEC softball tournament is fun to watch. I'm glad I didn't have to watch all 4 of those games yesterday.
I'm telling you, there are a few things that I could go and watch for an entire day. That's one of the things I could go watch for an entire day.
Absolutely.
Just
it's
sit there
fantastic.
And just watch it. It's fantastic softball from top to bottom. 11 seeds can beat you. I mean, you better watch out.
Yep.
You have to bring your A game every single day, and that's what I love about Southeastern Conference softball is every team is good.
Continuing to rifle through the grab bag. AL.com reporting earlier today, and you said you were already aware of this, so I will kind of defer to you on this. But this kind of comes from the please don't anyone in Tennessee hire this guy file. Go ahead.
1025 The Bulls, Spencer Graves posted, let's see. Well, it looks like he's taken his post down in order to share a news story. But Spencer Graves of 1025 The Bull in Birmingham, a country music station, posted a ruling from a judge in Alabama that basically said Rush Probst is in contempt of court. He has not paid spousal support to his ex-wife for 52 months. That's
4 years and 4 months.
That's 4 years and some change. That totaled to just over $100,000.
106.
You add in a little interest because in Alabama, support, both child and spousal, does accrue interest. And it totals 123 plus $8,000.
Well, there's also some legal fees in there.
And then you've got a $6,000 judgment on top of this, plus legal fees, et cetera, and more.
$123,875 is the amount that Jefferson County Circuit Court Judge Thomas E. Thrash, because Russ is getting thrashed, Senior, ordered the embattled coach to pay his ex-wife Tammy Probst.
And
on the very day, on April 16th, 2024, that this was ordered, Rush stepped down after his one season at Pell City.
Said he felt it was in the best interest of the program. Probably was at that point. Here's the thing.
It's not good for our kids. I feel like it's the right thing to do. I'm always going to stand by my players and do the right things for my players. And at this time, I feel this is the right time.
Well, it probably is. But here's the thing. That's not all. That's not all.
That's never all.
Because Rush Probst was also sentenced to 310 days to serve in the Jefferson County Jail. 310 days.
It's almost a year.
Which would preclude you from coaching high school football, I would assume. I don't think you could do it from there. But I've not tried. Don't think it's possible. Anyway, he can get out of it by posting a $35,000 cash bond for civil contempt of court. But 310 days is
bond.
Yeah.
Cash
bond. Exactly. So there you go. That's where Rush Probst is heading right now.
Goodness gracious. I'm sorry. I misspoke. It wasn't April 24th that he resigned. The order was filed in state court records on May 3rd, according to this article on AL.com. It was May 3rd that Probst announced his resignation from Pell City. So that was, Friday? So, yeah. Obviously, Probst came to stardom with the MTV series Two A Days back in late 1990s, early 2000s?
It was right after I was out of school, so 04, 05-ish.
Okay. When he was at Hoover, where he went 110 and 16 in 9 years. Since been at Colquitt County in Georgia, Asheville.
Valdosta, Georgia.
Asheville. Oh, that was prior to Hoover.
Yeah.
Eufaula. That was prior to Hoover. Alma Bryant and Valdosta. He was 1 year at Valdosta, 2020.
That's where he got
the
videotape,
pills, right?
No, that's where he got audio taped with the Buddy Garrity type fella. So,
like I said, please, nobody in Tennessee hire this guy. Thanking you in advance.
No doubt.
That's going to just about wrap us up. And it's unfortunate because there was still another couple of nice little items here in the grab bag that we would have liked to have gotten to, but we don't have time.
Is what it
as
is.
quick as they are,
the
we don't have time.
The NBA can wait till
tomorrow. The NBA can wait till tomorrow because both these will sit and we can get to that other item then that we can't get to now. So there we go. Set the table. Whet your appetite for tomorrow's Main Street Sports Today from right here in the Lee Company studios on West 7th. We will be visiting again with Jeff Ham, play-by-play announcer for the Nashville Sounds. He should join us around 2:20 tomorrow. Efforting for guest number 2. Check in with us right here at 2 o'clock tomorrow to see who it is. We will talk to y'all then. Thanks.